It has been exactly 1 month since you each answered the King of the Coast, Asbjorn the Red's call for a raid of the Franklands. After a glorious month of raiding and pillaging the gold, jewels, and other riches of the Franks, it is time you've returned home. As your longboat pulls in to rest at the docks of Hailhofen, you all notice the lands are different than when you first left the great city of the coast. It is now covered in heavy snows, this you know to mark the arrival of Fimbulwinter. Stepping off the boat one by one, warriors from the different tribes who answered the call of Odin's Eye step off and into the city to be welcomed by their families and friends who awaited their return. But not all yet is over for your band of raiders, for soon after stepping foot onto the snowy ground of the city, you are hailed by an aide of the king, who seems to be waiting for each of you in the Great Hall. Stepping into the Great Hall, the first thing you pick up are the smells of cooked meats and the barrels of mead pouring fresh into the cups of citizens and warriors alike celebrating a successful raid. Your attention is then brought up towards the man sitting in the throne at the top of it all, King Asbjorn the Red, a large, angry-looking man with bright fires making up all the hair on his head down to his beard, and a single scar crossing down his right eye. And next to him is a smaller chair, and in a smaller chair is his queen. Queen, I'm gonna butcher this horribly, Queen Snot, or Snot, a similar, fiery red-haired woman with a green floral dress and crown, both of them wearing the Pendant of Flames. As you approach, King Asbjorn speaks up and says, "Everyone, my daughter has returned from a successful raid on the Franks, and for that we celebrate. But first, come forth, daughter of mine, and speak the tales of your actions in the north." And as you step forward to speak, kindly, would the daughter of King Asbjorn please introduce themselves, tell us what their character looks like, and of the deeds during the raid.
So, Astrid steps forth. She is about 19. You can see a certain resemblance her father in her eyes mainly, and sort of the line of her jaw. She has very long, natural, platinum blonde hair that looks unnatural, but it isn't, and it's sort of pulled back in a lot of intricate braids and twists and all kinds of things. She has very bright blue eyes and that sort of very pale skin that still doesn't burn in the sunshine, so there's like the very rosy undertone, and she's dressed finely with a fur over her that is way too big for her, but her finery, her nice wool tunic over leggings and boots is a mess. Very high quality, but it is bloody, it is dirty, there are holes, and she looks a little bit worse for wear. She's kind of dirty as well, but she strides forward, bows deeply to her father, not as deeply to her mother, and looks around at the sort of assembled people there in the hall and just smiles and says, "Father, honored father, we return, and we have done glory for your name and for Odin's Eye. At our battles, we were fierce, we were strong, and as I observed and as I cheered on my fellow warriors, it reminded me, Father, of the great tale of when our ancestor received strength and runes from Father Odin." And she looks over in the corner of the hall, and there's a group of musicians sitting there, including one who looks just absolutely ancient, and she smiles at him and touches the copper torque on her throat and nods, and he nods and begins, just beating a very small hand drum rhythmically, and her voice changes, and she looks around at everyone and raises her hands and begins to speak, but it's different. It is in the rhythm and the language of the great stories, of the great epics. So for the first time, Astrid is going to recite part of the great story of their ancestry and his battles to everybody assembled. So she says, Kamthar, or Runi Riger Gangandi, Runar Kandi, Sityaf, Haiti, Sonkvask, Aiga, San Badhan, Egnask, Odvolu Adnar, Begidr, Rain Hanmer, Taran Mirkvandis, Helub, Fjol Uns at Holakam, Skaft Nam at Daya, Skelfidlind, Hesti Haithith, Ach Horvebra, Bignam et Vekja, Volnam et Roja, Valnam at Fela, Va till Landa, Redhan ein at Fat at Janboom, Alfnam Skita, Olam Veita, Mithmir Akmosna, Maras Vinja, Ringen, Haiti, Hjol Sunder, Bag, Oku Arir, Urgar Bratir, Kongo at Halu, Thar Hirsobjo, Beatihan, Mjofindrasa, Vita, Horska, Hetu Erna. And she stops and bows and gestures to the people behind her and says, Father, listen to my companions, for they did great deeds. And she bows and steps to the side.
You can get some DM inspiration for that.
Thank you.
That was impressive. As you finish, your father, King Asbjorn, speaks up once more and says, Now, as my daughter says, the rest of you, I wish to hear your deeds. I wish to hear the deeds of those who answered my call and joined my daughter on this raid in the north. All of you step forth and tell me of your actions. And now would be the time for whoever would like to go after that impressive display to introduce their character, what they look like, and their deeds in the raid. So whoever would wish to go next, be my guest.
Guinevere would probably step forward, following behind Astrid. The presentation, while beautiful and touching, and the expression on Guinevere's face showing just how much she enjoyed it, also says that this isn't the first time that something like this has occurred. And following behind such a powerful person, really in their element, is not something that Guinevere is particularly new to, nor is she afraid of. So she would take a step forward to speak upon her behalf. Stepping forward is a younger woman, just a couple years older than Astrid, around 22 years old, standing at 5'9", with bright blonde hair pulled back into some very gentle braids, with very bright crystal blue eyes and a tattoo that kind of looks like wings along her face. Herself, she is adorned in very simple, modest fur clothing that does help prevent the elements, but doesn't look like it's traditionally designed for extensive travel. So it definitely has been patched up during the travels, both pre and post. It's not very common that this particular face makes its way out onto a raid. However, going out, experiencing the world, trying to learn more about it, and trying to solve many mysteries, including some of her own personal adventures that she has taken on, this has been very enlightening for her. Guinevere steps up and gives a deep bow to the king and a deep bow to the queen before raising her head and standing upright. It was a momentous trip. We accomplished many, many great deeds and were able to acquire more than we had originally anticipated for our journey. During my time, I was able to lead a squad in to collect as many valuable artifacts, jewels, gems, gold, silver, bronze, metal, iron, anything that we could get our hands on, and we returned with loot that could barely keep the ship afloat. I'm very proud to report that we have acquired many, many goods that really shows that you made the right choice of calling out and accepting the people who showed up here, and I am proud to show you the wares. And Guinevere will turn around as some of the crewmen start bringing in just chests and boxes and crates just full of goods mixed from precious metals to gold to silver to jewelry to documents to books to ledgers to weapons to fine crafts and silks and furs, and of course crates containing some bodies, whether they were in good condition or not, kind of depends, but it was definitely a pride and joy to show the heads of some of the leaders of the Franks as proof of initial completion of the job itself. And as the things are being presented to the king and queen, Guinevere kind of looks over at Astrid and gives her a little smile and a nod, just recognizing one of her childhood friends that she grew up knowing and playing with during meetings with the families and the leaders from the other clans. And as somebody who is from the Icy Crow, it is not uncommon to have her visit, and through that time she has made herself a really good friend. So after the presentation, she gives another deep bow and will step back into the ranks and step next to somebody else she knows, Tobias, and give him a small little smile as she returns to the collection of people and waits for the next person to step forward.
Tobias will take that as a cue and step forward. He is about 24 years old, about 6 feet tall, with brownish hair and some facial hair as well. He's dressed in studded leather with it's lined with furs, has a shield, axe, nothing too fancy. However, down his left arm can be seen tribal markings that are quite obviously of the Wolves of the Shadow, and down his right arm are tribal markings of the Icy Crow, indicating that he was one of the few tributes or volunteers, however you want to call it, from the Wolves of the Shadow sent to train and mature with the Icy Crow. So he steps forward and kind of addresses the king and queen with a respectful nod before saying, "The enemy fights fiercely with well-trained soldiers, but they don't fight with honor. I found myself continuously trying to break up their formations and preventing them from leading our Vikings to dishonorable deaths. Ambushes they have for our boats, I thwarted. Ambushes at night, attempting to assassinate us in our sleep, I stopped. When they would try to feign negotiations, I cut them down. We came back with as much treasure and loot and supplies, as my friend Guinevere has indicated. But we've come back with honor and glory, and we've upheld the tenets of the 9 virtues. And with that, he gives them a nod again, and steps back into line.
And with that, the king's eyes shift to the final man in the line.
You see stepping forward just a couple of steps, not too much, not trying to bring too much attention, more so than what he's already being given to himself. You see this younger, 23-ish year old man, about 6 foot tall, 90 pounds, around there, it looks like. Brown hair, longer, it's kind of pulled up in a bun on the top, but still long enough that it flows down his shoulders, with a long, thicker beard as well, and paler skin, but just brown eyes, color of mud. You see that he has on, over like the left side of his back, he has his round shield, and hanging off that same side of his hip, he has a battle axe. Whereas on the right side and behind that, there are multiple hand axes that are also sat on his belt loop. And you see he is only seemingly wearing like half of an upper body armor. The right side, opposed from where he wields his shield, has chainmail that seems to come down his chest, down across his mid-abdominal region, around his back, up the middle of his spine, going down just the one arm. So the left arm is free to block with the shield as needed. Has no restrictions there for maneuverability, whereas the right has the protection of the chainmail as well as his lower body armor and the ability to quickly wield and throw and or utilize his battle axe or hand axes as needed. Looks up to King, says, "I have fulfilled the basic tenets of my combat training. I utilized the skills that Orn taught me, using my head for more than just headbutting. We were strategic in our combat. We were strategic in our survival. We brought back victory, and as much as we could carry. I look forward to serving you further." And he steps back in line.
As you step back in the line, King Asbjorn speaks up, raises his mug, and shouts, "For this we celebrate!" And you hear dozens of voices shouting, "Ha ha!" You know, everyone's excited to finally celebrate a raid success. And the king looks specifically at you, Astrid, and says, "My daughter, we must talk, but for now, go among your fellow warriors and celebrate this glorious day." And he kind of slams his mug down onto his throne. You see some of the mead splashing everywhere.
Astrid bows to him, acknowledgement, and she walks a couple steps over to, one of the long tables and just grabs a tankard from, an old grizzled warrior there and yells, "The honor of Odin's Eye!" and then just slams the whole thing.
The room goes wild.
Yopir will also match that energy, stating the same, "to the honor of Odin's Eye," and also slamming one down, and then flipping it upside down and putting it beside yours and giving you a nod.
Feeling like she can finally relax for the first time this whole journey, Guinevere goes over to where Astrid is and just basically falls down on the bench and just lays her head on the table. She put so much energy into everything, and now she is just drained. She's not a social person. This was a big old exercise for this poor girl. And now that everything is done, she can kind of just finally breathe for the first time since this whole thing began.
Tobias just sits at the same table that you three are at and kind of asks Astrid, "Are your celebrations always so loud?"
This one's only getting started. This is nothing. Give it an hour or two and a couple more eggs of mead. Then you'll really see something.
I believe you. And I raise a tankard in cheers.
And she will grab another tankard from somebody else and turn that gesture.
The battle well fought, Princess Astrid.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you. I mean, maybe I could have, but you definitely were brilliant out there.
You get a swift elbow to probably your hip. As you make the comment about I could have done this without you. It's like bam.
What? What's that for?
Tobias just
You and I
grins.
both know that you would have been dead had Tobias not jumped in the way of that arrow at one point.
Well, he was not the only one jumping. But yes, I don't know that I've properly thanked you for that. She actually takes a bracelet off her wrists and hands it to you.
I take the bracelet and I raise it as thanks. And I will put it in my pocket. I'm guessing that the sizes of our wrists are probably not the same, but I do appreciate the gesture.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
and
or you need to drink more.
merrymaking.
I mean, I've never been a big drinker. That's not what I do.
Well, now
Gotta
is the time
clear.
for you to do it.
Maybe later.
Why later? It started with us now.
Well, I will restrain myself.
Well, as several hours pass, let's be honest, as the day passes of partying,
Mhm.
I'm sure you get some drinks in.
Oh, yeah, I'm just not trying to be passed out in the first 2 hours. You gotta ride it all the way to the end.
Yeah,
You know,
it is a Viking celebration. It lasts a day and a half.
You gotta pace.
And at some point during the celebrations, Astrid, you do remember that your father did say that you had to speak with him at some point.
Right. So I push off whoever I was just about to leave with. I'm like, wait, sorry. Later. I'll find you later. And go, I guess, is my father still up at the front or has he wandered off somewhere else?
He is still very much so on his throne.
Right. So I will come up much closer to the throne this time and bow again. Father? Mother? You wish to speak to me, Father?
Yes, my daughter of mine, I'm sending you to Uppsala, one of our vassals. The Jarl there is having trouble, and he puts his hand, he's a big man, as seen in the handout that I gave you, which I will bring up again just to show the point. He is a large man.
Mm-hmm.
And so he puts a very big hand on your shoulder and says, I am entrusting you, my daughter, to aid Jarl Alrekr in his troubles and keep the peace with our vassal cities and towns. You can choose any warriors of your choice, but I must insist that you begin your journey there come the morning.
Oh, morning, you say? She sort of rubs her head. Father, you honor me. Honor me indeed. Thank you. Is there anything else you can tell me? What exactly is happening in Uppsala? What is it that the Jarl is having trouble with?
Something of a missing reader of the runes.
Oh dear. Have you received messages? Is there anyone here in court who brought you the messages that I could speak to, perhaps?
Our scouts have been embedded in Uppsala, as you know. We have scouts in many of our towns. And the information they've brought back is... Well, King Alrekr, Jarl Alrekr is quite the easy to anger, and it sounds as if his current rune readers are not up to the task, so he's brought in a different sort of aid from the Icy Crows, and it sounds as if this rune reader's gone missing. Which is why I'm sending you and a band of warriors of your choice to possibly speak with the Jarl and aid Uppsala in their problems.
I have heard that his temper is legendary.
He is quite faithful to myself and the Odin's Eye, and we wish to keep that on our side.
In that case, you are sending the right person, Father. I won't fail you.
Good. Go speak with your warriors and prepare for the morning.
Oh, how many... Do you want me to take a full company, or smaller force? Which do you suggest?
I don't believe a party fit for a raid would be necessary, so pick a small few.
Very good. I have just the ones. Thank you, Father.
Gives you a nod.
She bows.
Goes back to his drink.
Right. So, is Gwyneth, going to sleep with her head on the table?
Yeah, somehow through all this ruckus, she has fallen asleep and is just it's very steady breathing. She seems surprisingly calm for everything that's going on around her.
All right, so Astrid sails over and just pounces on her. It's like, wake up, wake up, wake up! Guess what? Guess what?
She just screams bloody murder and falls out of the chair on the floor.
Get up! And she hauls her up and is kind of bouncing, holding onto her hands and just bouncing. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what?
Oh my god, if it's about another guy, I swear I will break a tankard over your head.
No! It was a girl last time anyway, and that's not it at all. Guess what?
What?
My father has put me in charge of a diplomatic mission. Uppsala. Leaving in the morning. And I am taking you with me.
I'm sorry, I'm waking up from a nap. Did I hear that your dad just put you on a diplomacy mission?
Yes. Yes, he did. See,
Why?
I told you that if this raid went well, it'd mean good things for me. And of course for you.
Why?
What do you mean, why? I'm brilliant!
Well, I really wish I could give a solid argument to either point. I'm gonna let that slide. Why would he put someone like you in charge of that? That's dangerous. Do you know how hard it is to be a diplomat?
Someone like, no, it is not. It's easy. I watch it all the time. I am charming. You know this. I am so charming. So, we're going to see Jarl, is it Alrekr? Sorry, Alrekr.
Here is your pronunciation. Well, here's your spelling.
Okay.
Jarl, Alrekr. Alrekr, one of those two.
Alrekr, yes, Alrekr. We're going to go help out Jarl Alrekr. Apparently, rune reader he brought in has gone missing. And she's from the Icy Crows, so...
Do I know who the rune reader is?
Do either of us?
Well, unless Tobias is around the conversation.
I'm at the same table.
I'm not being quiet.
Opier is trying to dance.
Roll of performance.
First roll.
That's why I said try. It's not good. It's not good at all. He's trying. Trying to be social.
He's charming in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gwyneffa and Tobias, both of you can roll me history checks.
History. Okay. Ooh.
Ooh, I'm good at that. Watch this prove me wrong. No, it does not.
Why doesn't it let me click on it? Okay, hold on. Let me try that again. Roll. There we go. Oh, well, you don't need me.
So, let me get my information here. Tobias, you've heard of a new diviner, diviner rune reader in the Icy Crows. One recently came to that position. They're kind of out there that you really haven't, because you've been on the raid for a month. It's been some time, so your memory's a little hazy on the figure.
Sure.
Gwyneffa, with you and your books and your smarts, you do know they are a recent addition to the Icy Crows diviners and rune readers. Not much is known, but you do know of his nickname. You've heard it spoken before. He goes by Wolfheart.
All right. Do I know if he... Sorry, continue.
I was going to say, you know the same information as Tobias. He's a rather, from what you've heard, rather out there, eccentric diviner.
By that level of eccentric, is he more of a showman in the way that he does it? Like he's a braggart? Or is he just somebody who's like super into the craft?
Someone who is... If the diviners and rune readers are already super deep into, the history and tradition, this guy's like amplify that by like times 10.
Okay.
Okay. Huh.
Oh, him.
Yes.
Interesting.
What do you mean him?
You know how you're big and loud and fun and energetic, and when you run into something that you're incredibly passionate about, we cannot get you to stop talking about it?
Yes, I do.
This guy is that times 10.
So he's glorious, is what I'm hearing.
he is glorious enough that he may attempt to outshine you.
All right. Well, that'll be fun. It'll be fun. I mean, if we find him and he's still alive.
He's a
These
smart
diviner
one.
types aren't necessarily known for their survival skills.
She kind of looks down at her clothing. She kind of looks down at her clothing and then looks up at Astrid and kind of gives her a dirty look.
And Astrid just doesn't pick up on it at all.
Well,
And I'm taking you. And she turns over to Tobias and, like, hooks her arm, you know, like around his neck and just pulls him over. I'm taking you.
I shrug. Okay.
And then she turns both of them around and she looks over at their dancing friend. And I think that they all just kind of stand there for a minute, just actually watching now as he dances like nobody's watching.
I pull out 2 hand axes and I'm swinging them around while I dance.
Oh, what, you know what? I was going to ask you if we should take him, but we are definitely taking him.
Roll me another performance at disadvantage.
Oh man, I already have a -1. How bad do you want me to go? I hope I roll a natural 1. I hope I roll a 1. I want a 0. Give it to me. Damn close.
I mean,
That's still really close.
So,
Really close.
as he's swinging these hand axes and you guys are kind of all watching this, you see him nick a fellow Viking who's sleeping on the table.
Ugh.
And almost instantly, the dude wakes up, immediately turns around, and with no roll, because you're not expecting it, giant fist directly to the jaw.
Ouch.
And you both fall to the ground. He falls to the ground and immediately passes out again. You're still stable. Your ass just got planted, but you do take 2 points of bludgeoning damage as you got socked in the jaw.
I will.
This is a usual occurrence.
Yeah, I'll put my hand axes away. I'm not trying to, beat him up or kill him or anything like that. I'm gonna pick him up and sit him back on the table, and like as I sit him on the bench of the table, and I'm gonna like hold him up without his arms there to brace him and make it and just let go of his head so he face plants whap right onto the table and just takes bludgeoning damage from face planting on the table.
Let's see here.
I mean, my unarmed strike is 5 damage. I'm sure you don't want that,
Well,
but
the table damage is the exact same damage as his punch.
cool. Yeah,
So
I just
the
sit him up and
table
let.
had the same amount of force as his very drunken punch.
Yes, and he probably doesn't even wake up.
He was out when he hit the floor after punching you.
Mm.
So he's even
Alright.
more out. He's probably gonna be there for like 2 days.
Astrid
Pat him on the
just,
back. Good job, brother. Good job.
when she sees this happen, she lets go of her other 2 friends and just goes, yes! And runs over, like, just jumps on you.
I'm gonna move out the way so you can land on the guy who's sitting on the table.
Oh,
All right, hold on.
rude!
Roll. Okay, we're having a roll off.
Drunk as
Okay,
hell, so I'll
so-
take disadvantage.
Yeah, I'll give you both disadvantage. So this is gonna be athletics, acrobatics versus athletics or acrobatics.
And you said it's both at disadvantage?
Yes, because you both have been drinking.
Alright.
11 versus
I'm making it. Try to do disadvantage. Hang on.
If you
I'm
hold
trying to be-
control on D&D,
I'm trying to be fancy.
Oh, you're good.
Trying to be fancy. Okay, so this is going to be acrobatics.
4. So Opier, you perfectly's, overselling it. You very drunkenly stagger out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And Astrid, you land directly on the large back of one of your fellow warriors, who I'm now naming Bjorn.
Bjorn.
You land on the very large back of Bjorn, and you just hear snores. He is out. The sudden force of it, though, you do take 2 bludgeoning damage, as
Okay.
Bjorn is built like a brick wall.
Yes, and I am
Just
definitely
across the
not.
board.
I was gonna do like a full-on panda, koala baby glomp Opier, so I just really do smash into poor Bjorn, and then I'm connected to him like a backpack, and I'm like, ow! Wait,
Did you need something,
wait.
Astrid?
Yes, ow! And so she climbs up on Bjorn, and she comes over you and is like poking you in the chest.
He's thick.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, she's poking you in the chest, and she goes, "You are coming with me tomorrow."
Where are we going?
Going to Uppsala.
Why?
Diplomatic mission. And maybe finding some guy. Anyway, we're leaving in the morning.
Who's the diplomat we're escorting?
What is wrong with you people? It's me.
I laugh heartily and loudly and drunkenly.
I slap you.
That was rude.
Yeah, so were you.
You told a joke. That's what you do often. Why wouldn't I laugh? It was a good one.
My father put me in charge, so watch yourself, buddy. She's poking you on the chest again.
You realize I have axes, right? Just
You
cut off
realize
your
I
finger.
you realize I have a father, right?
That's okay. To be killed by the king's hammer would be an honor. So
I'll keep that in mind.
I don't think
If
you
you
can
do well on this mission,
You know what? I
I'll
like
do that for you.
The King's Hammer are the name of his honor guard.
Nice.
Fair. All right, fine. I see you're not joking. I guess I'll go with you.
You don't really have a choice, but thanks.
Fine. Who else is going? Who else
I
have you
point.
swindled into this mission?
I point very grandly over to, almost like a Vanna White at the letters over at Tobias and Nifa. Ta-da! We're a
Everything.
team now.
They believe you as well?
Yeah.
Oh.
Of course, they're
Oh.
very enthusiastic about it.
Okay, if you say so.
Do say so.
Gwenifia does not look enthusiastic.
Well, alright. Where are we meeting in the morning? Because I need to go, sleep.
I don't know. How about here?
Okay.
First lights.
Oh, that's early.
I mean, I will
I know.
say, in Viking culture, sleeping in the longhouse after a day of partying, that's kind of the norm.
Be like, he's just gonna fall asleep right there. He's gonna be like, all right, see you in the morning.
Opie's
I'm-
gonna fall asleep next to his best buddy, Bjorn.
I'm gonna go find a non-damp corner and sleep in a non-damp corner because I don't want to sleep in the wet beer-soaked table. So.
Good luck with that. She pats one of the big dogs that's wandering by.
Oh, come here, dog, and I try to walk the dog over to be my sleeping partner.
You're walking him over, and what you don't realize, it's a very large man.
Yeah. Yes. That's okay.
Aww.
Up here does not mind.
It's sweet when people get together. She's turned to Tobias and Gnifa.
You look back over, and I'm just collapsed over top of him, just asleep, just snoring. It's like, blah.
Also, if you haven't noticed, Bjorn's full name is Bjorn Bigfellow. Because he's a big fellow.
That is.
Perfect. Well, I think I am going to retire for the evening, and the I guess she would probably always bunk with Astrid whenever she came here.
Right.
And Astrid does have a room in the, longhouse of the king.
And yeah, you've definitely stayed there before. You know where it is.
Yeah, well, I am going to call it a night if we are leaving at the first strike of dawn. I would prefer to be at least somewhat sober when we travel tomorrow, so I think I'm going to call it a night. I recommend that both of you do the same, and I kind of eye Astrid like, like you do. Astrid, dear, if you're leading this expedition, you better be the most awake out of all of us.
I'll be there in a little bit.
Tobias follows Guinevere out the door and pauses. Oh, Astrid, your date is still waiting at the door. And then I leave with Guinevere.
Why?
We both just hurry out so the two don't realize that she's invited too.
They can all be your dates.
Let's see. Astrid, roll me a d6.
Okay.
It's about to be a party.
Roll a 6. Roll a 6. I need a 6. I want 6 people fighting for your attention tonight. 6.
So
I
devils.
mean, at least 2. Let's make it fun. Right?
I mean, for sure, right?
I don't know. One could be super scary. Scare the whole party away.
That too.
Okay.
Well,
you got lucky tonight as waiting at the door is both a very large Viking man and an almost equal in size what are they called? Shield maidens.
Yes! I just sashay over and roll into my room at about 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. And eventually you all have a great, it's freezing cold. You guys just came from somewhere rather warm, and now you're in the middle of Fimbulwinter. But you're used to the cold. But you all do eventually get a night's rest, so both Opir and Bjorn heal their wounds, and Astrid, you probably get some more wounds during your time in the night, but that gets all healed up.
Yeah.
So you all
Spicy.
get a long rest.
Spicy shield mate.
And you all wake up, and I assume you all eventually meet back in the longhouse, where people are still drinking, and the king is still at his throne with the queen, just overseeing everything, as is usual, as is the day-to-day.
So I'm going to go to my father and say, we are about to depart, Father. Anything that you would care to best help us on our way, or any advice?
He puts again his hand on your shoulder and simply says, "Follow Odin faithfully as Odin follows you. I wish you well, daughter."
Thank you, Father. We appreciate your blessing. She bows and heads over to her companions, and I guess we will head down to the docks. When they step outside of the lodge, Astrid just goes, "Oh, gods." Pulls her fur hood up so that her eyes are kind of shielded.
This very knowing look from Guinevere. Very strong side eye. She doesn't say anything. She just follows on.
As your party assembles at the docks to take a boat to Uppsala, you go through the rivers past Jutland and Dannevirke, which is a very large wall. Up here is where you went to raid the Franks beyond Danevirk is the Franklands, which is basically the shield of Norveger to hold back the might of the Franks. And eventually, you make it to Uppsala's docks, where you disembark and head into town. And this is quite a day's journey. It takes you some time to get there, so you're arriving in Uppsala probably after, a solid day and a half. And you make your way into town as it loads and all the textures come in. And the first thing you notice as you walk in is there is a grouping of priests around the sacrificial altar, and numerous villagers you notice as you walk in are beginning to abandon their tasks and form a group and begin following the priests.
Well, seems like something we need to check out. Let's go.
Agreed. This is
I
rather odd.
follow.
Lead the way, oh diplomat.
I've already started walking.
And as you approach up here, everyone roll me a perception check.
Okay. Well.
Laptop very slow.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh god.
Well, that's fine. Large numbers didn't matter anyways. You all...
It's with my +5.
You all do hear, as you're kind of approaching the crowd, you hear various different voices saying, like Tobias, you hear two people talking and whispering to each other saying, oh, this time it's gonna work, and the other you hear another person saying, I wouldn't miss it. Opir, you hear someone saying, oh, every week it's the same old story. The Jarl is never going to be happy. Gwyneth, you hear someone saying, talking to a woman saying, oh, I heard a new diviner is supposed to come to Uppsala. And the woman says, well, let's hope they get a good reading. We all need it. And then Astrid, finally, you hear a group of folks talking, and one of them says, as you're all kind of walking through the crowd, they say they're going to offer to the gods a huge boar the hunters caught in the great forest just 2 days ago. Can't wait to see that beast. They say its tusks are as long as your arm. And as you are approaching, with your perceptions, you also do notice that more or less the entirety of Uppsala has gathered at this point, except for one figure. You see a blacksmith just seems to continue working on their wares.
Okay.
As we get closer, if I look at like the front row, do I see, anybody that looks like attired like the Jarl, main religious figure, any of those people?
You do not.
Since Gwenethia and Tobias both grew up here, do we know where the Jarl would be?
Yes. You do know that the Jarl has his own home here.
Okay. And is it normal for the Jarl to usually be at his home, or is there like a central area where he usually is at?
He usually, in normal times, he usually hangs around his home or in the Temple of Uppsala.
Got it. Okay.
And are you all approaching the crowd? Are you heading further in?
I mean, I would want to see what the ruckus is all about first before looking for the Jarl.
He's Is that for everyone as well?
I think that I would first ask Tobias and Gwenifa if they see the Jarl, because I don't know whether I would have seen him or not. Maybe he would have come to visit, or come for the all thing or something like that.
I tell Astrid, the Jarl doesn't seem to be among the crowd, but usually at this time, he's either at the temple or at his own residence.
Isn't that a little odd that if they're doing a major sacrifice, he isn't here?
Many of the ritual practices are led by the diviners or mystics. Sometimes it's by icy crows. So I'm curious as to who is performing this ritual.
Well, we can certainly look and see, but I don't want to offend the Jarl by talking to anybody else too much before we make ourselves known to him.
Certainly, we'll just take a peek and then go on
why don't you
our
go
way.
ahead? Why don't you go ahead and get in there and take a quick peek?
Okay. May I do that?
Yes. Well, as you guys are talking and as you approach, you begin following the chattering crowd and get closer, each of you noticing that no less than 30 people with more and more joining in as you guys get closer, as you walk. The dirty snow between each of your boots creaks with each step compressed by your weight. Meanwhile, snowflakes gently fall and land on your heads and shoulders. Small clouds of vapor appear in front of your face, wetting your nose. Eventually, you walk and get closer to the crowd and reach a depression in the ground where there is a large rectangular stone in the middle. The stone bears the dark red stains of countless sacrifices that have been officiated on top of it. You see the priests around the stone lift their hands up towards the sky and pay homage to Odin, the All-Father, so he may share a fraction of his infinite wisdom. As you notice this, all of your eyes spot a figure in the crowd and getting closer, who begins walking up. That can be none other than the Jarl Alrekr Sigholar, shrouded in the fur of a black bear. His stern gaze is fixed upon the priests as he gets closer, accompanied by 2 armed guards and one that is probably just a house servant. From the western side of the depression, you each see 5 men drag and barely contain a large boar that, despite the wounds still spilling copious amounts of its warm blood on the snow, is trying to wrangle itself free of the ropes that bind it. The pungent smell of wilderness and blood reaches your nostrils from down in the depression, and the savage grunts of the beast have many among the crowd take a step back. With one mighty blow to the back of its neck with a heavy mace, the animal falls to the ground, shaking violently and thrashing about for a moment. As soon as it loses its energies, it is grabbed by its legs and pulled on top of the sacrificial stone. The priests close in around it, their hands towards the sky, and the crowd lowers their head, muttering prayers and litanies. A curved dagger is placed to the neck of the beast, and instantly every rattle stops as a river of crimson blood flows to the cold stone. Each priest gathers the blood in a low bronze receptacle, staring into it intently, and then throws the blood violently in front of himself, creating a gory pattern of red stains steaming with vapor. The crowd suddenly goes silent. The older priest pulls a rune out of a leather satchel he carries around his neck and shows it directly to the Jarl. As you hear him speak, my lord, we have been granted an important insight. The Berkana rune is warning us. Unfortunately, once again, we cannot give you the augury that you so ardently crave. And you see the priest lowers his eyes to the ground, not to meet the gaze of the Jarl. Unfortunately, even today, We can't give you the hope that you so desire. And in an instant, the Jarl doesn't even wait for the end of the sentence to turn around and begin immediately walking away with fury in his stride as you hear the crowd begin murmuring and begin to dispense as each of you feel hopelessness and disappointment in the air.
Okay, to recap what just happened, it looked like the Jarl performed the divining?
No, the Jarl was watching it. The
Okay.
priests performed it, showed him a rune. The Jarl, disappointed in the results, has now stormed off with an anger that looks like no one dare, intervene.
Would you be able to tell me more about the priests?
They are your normal-looking diviners dressed in black robes. Some have skull necklaces and staves.
Okay, so they're not of the Icy Crow.
I don't remember what the Icy Crow diviners look like.
Oh no, but like, we could say that they just have Icy Crow markings.
They're not from our clan. We don't recognize
Right.
them.
Yeah.
No, they would have markings.
Okay.
These just seem to be, not the ones that the Jarl is currently favoring.
Okay. Okay.
These are the court diviners, basically.
Sure. I'm gonna turn to the others and say, because I was probably up front, right? Everyone else was like in the back of the crowd.
Mm-hmm. You were close enough to see the action, like in its entirety. Everyone else was hearing it and everything. And
Okay.
real quick, here is the Jarl of Uppsala.
Charmed. So I will update everybody on what just happened. Tell Guinevere, especially, the court diviners are the ones who officiated the sacrifice, and the rune that was revealed was not favorable to the Jarl.
Hmm.
The diviner revealed it anyway.
Only to the Jarl.
Well, at
Do
least
you-
we know that one's truthful.
We could follow up with the diviners, but we'll probably find out more with the Jarl, don't you think?
I do want to speak to him first. That doesn't mean we can't follow up with the diviners.
I agree. Astrid, if you would like to follow us, we'll take you to the Jarl.
Excellent. But you know what? Let's stroll so that maybe he has a few minutes to cool off.
If that's what you wish.
This is your diplomatic lead.
I know.
While we're kind of giving the Jarl a few minutes to cool off, is it possible to kind of just get a general impression of the town? See, like, do people look hungry? Do people look frantic, up in arms, etc.?
Sure. You can roll me a, I guess just general looking around. You can roll me a perception.
Okay. And then may I do that by casting guidance on myself?
You may.
Okay.
Tell me, what is your guidance from? How are you asking for guidance? I assume of the gods.
Yes. So I'm, in this case, since it's to do with a community, I think it makes sense to ask Frigg for some guidance and insight as to the well-being of this community.
Okay.
So there's not gonna matter. I'll roll the 1d4, but it probably won't do anything. 7.
Well, with the
People are sad.
general look around, you don't, it's a normal town. You know that the vassals of Asbjorn are pretty well kept. So, you do see healthy people walking around.
Okay. I just can't tell the general mood with that check, correct? Okay.
You can see a mix of people, but you can't tell, like, you see some healthy people, you see some maybe sickly people walking around, but you can't really see is like, are those sick people sick because the town's doing bad, or, you can't really get that vibe.
Got it. Okay. Thanks. That's what I wanted to do while I was killing time, if anyone else wanted to do anything.
Nope, here, Astrid, Gwyneth, anything?
Nope, I'm just watching.
Yeah, just slow walk through up to where the Jarl is, just glancing around. I haven't been here before, so I'm curious.
I would actually be on the lookout for anyone who was part of the sacrifice. Particularly the one that is likely gonna die here soon because he gave bad news. I'm particularly looking for that person.
Well, you do still see that the priests are still around the sacrifice altar.
Has the crowd kind of dispersed after?
Yes.
After everybody left.
Yes.
I will kind of just start casually making my way over there.
All right.
I will cast guidance on you.
Okay.
And I think I sort of clock what you're doing and just kind of nod. Going.
Just because I want to have fun with spell descriptions to fit the setting, tell me again, who you asking the guidance from?
Certainly. I guess I'm kind of just having a short dialogue with Frigg. And I'm like, perhaps today I am not feeling up to the task, but perhaps my companion may have some wisdom shed upon her, Lady Frigg. Please?
Pretty please. Okay.
And I tap Guinevere on the shoulder just before she parts.
Okay. And you begin walking to the priests at the sacrificial altar. I will just move the party token as a whole to the altar.
Yeah, as I make my way up the stairs, I kind of give a nod to everyone that's there. Do I recognize any of the faces? Is there anyone that I know because of my connection with the high ranks?
You do recognize the elder priest, the one who gave the divining. As his name is gonna be this Nelson.
Nelson.
Nelson, the Nordic.
Nelson, the Nordic. Nelson. I will give. Well, somebody left in anger. I thought that was a good name. Goodness.
Oh, you're saying that to him?
No. Pepper left for some reason.
Yeah.
I left Discord, logging in shortly again now.
Okay.
I was like, wow, that was harsh. How do we pronounce this again? I'm sorry, I got caught up.
Nelson.
Nelson. Yes, as I approach, I will go to Nelson and give a I don't know what a standard greeting would be. I don't know if it's a bow, if it's a nod, if it's a like a slap palm to the chest or something like that. What is the standard Nordic greeting? Or in this world?
Let's say, I mean, you can make up your own. I'll say it varies from clan to clan.
Okay, so I will place my hand against my chest and kind of bow my head a little bit, but not like over my heart, like over the dead center, where if that portion of her chest was exposed, is a giant tattoo of the icy crows. So that's where she carries her symbol. She's got the one on her face, but her main one is on her chest. So she places her hand on her chest and gives like a small head bow and says, It's good to see you, though it looks like you had to deliver some bad news. Pray tell, what happened?
Child, it is good to see you as well. You've grown so much. Give me a persuasion.
God, I'm good at this. I'm great at this. This is why I'm part of this group. I have 4.
4. It is nothing you should concern yourself with, child. Tell me, join me in my walk to the temple. Tell me, how is your family?
Guinevere kind of gives a small sigh and says, Dad's doing well. My brothers are being brothers. But outside of that, everything seems to be going well. I wish I could say the same for you and your abode here. I am here on a diplomatic mission as an escort, so I can't really socialize too much, but I will escort you back to the temple and we can have a little bit of catching up before I return to my party. And I will give everybody kind of like a little wave to let them know that I'll be back in a moment, and I will escort one of my elders back to the temple, just having just kind of general conversation, telling him how the clan's doing, how Dad's doing, tell him about the raid, like that type of stuff, because I know I'm not going to get anything out of him.
Yeah. Okay. And eventually, like a minute or two, you do eventually join your group back.
This is the particular reason why I don't people very well. He did not tell me anything, though I think I got a really good recipe for a stew. I might have to try that later.
Well, that's all right. We can work on him later.
Shall we make haste?
Yes, I think we've given the Jarl enough time.
Okay. I'm guessing we go here.
Yes.
Okay.
And you see, as you approach the house, there are 2 guards standing outside the front door.
And I don't mean to abuse the fact that we grew up here, but do we recognize these guards?
Roll me a history check.
Okay. There's my skills. Okay. And before I roll, is it okay if I give guidance to myself?
As long as you describe it every time, who you're calling upon.
Okay. Hopefully my memory of the townspeople here served me as well as the memory of my mother. She still lives clearly in my head, so clearly they should too. And I kind of encourage myself in that sense.
Okay.
Oh, haha.
Okay.
Give me that 1d4. Yes!
There you go.
Thank you.
You do recognize them. You remember Gwyneffa more so than Tobias, because you were a, bring-in from the wolves. So you have had less time growing up in the area. But
Okay.
both of you do recognize these two figures. You may have interacted with them in your young age. You may have gone on rambunctious adventures into the woods with them to go hunting. These are the twins Alrekr Eriksson and Jarlr Alrekr.
Alrekr and Jarlr.
And they are both adorned in hide armor. Each of them have very shaggy black beards and some tinges of black hair appearing from underneath their helmets.
I greet them as old, familiar acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
Alrekr, Kjol.
You see them both kind of light up, seeing you approach, and Alrekr says, Tobias, how have you been?
I've been good. We had a good raid. I suspect that things are not going so well for the community here.
And this time Kjol speaks up and says, things have been better.
I see.
The mood is quite low, but don't tell the Jarl we've said that. We'd probably be on bathroom duty.
As always, your secrets are sealed with me. I brought, you remember Gwyneffa? We've brought, companions, among them, Astrid of Odin's Eye.
You see Alrekr speak up and says, the daughter of the Red is with you. And is kind of looking through the kind of your front group to kind of peer past to see Astrid.
So Astrid steps forward and smiles and says, I greet you in the name of Odin's Eye. I wonder if you would be kind enough to tell your Jarl that the daughter of Asbjorn the Red wishes to speak to him at his convenience, of course.
And you see Kjol speak up and says, it's an honor to meet the daughter of the Red. And he kind of bows his head a little bit and says, brother, keep them company. I'll go tell the Jarl. And he kind of heads inside. And as a couple minutes go by with, I assume you trading war stories of the raid to Alrekr.
Yeah, we're definitely probably buddies.
Kjol comes to the door and welcomes you all in and says, he's not in the best moods. You're lucky you have the daughter of the king with you, otherwise you'd have been barred entrance. He says that to you, Tobias.
Well then, we're lucky, aren't we? Let's be on our best behavior. And may Frigga watch over this interaction. And I tap on Astrid's back.
Very good. So she gives a little, inclination of the head to the guards and smiles at them. Then turns to her group and kind of is casting a critical eye over them. And she tucks a little bit of of Gwen's hair back, and she dusts off, Othir's shoulder a little bit. He's got some travel grime on him, and she sort of, goes to try to do something with your beard, and then decides not to. All right, and then she checks to make sure that this long skirt that she has on over her leggings is hanging well, and she sort of just adjusts everything, and she says, all right, are we ready?
Let us go.
So she takes a deep breath and then just sweeps in. And she's not that tall, but she's trying to do that thing where she's just commanding the room, even though she doesn't have the actual height to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So she just sweeps all the way up to the Jarl and smiles. Just smiles at him and then bows very low.
As you all walk in, you see the image of the Jarl Alrekr upon his throne, and at first he seems very peeved off. He has his hand balled up into a fist under his chin, looking annoyed. But the second Astrid walks into the room, it's almost as if something clicks in his brain as he makes eye contact with Astrid, and the mood has changed almost as he gets up from his throne, and almost with the same fury, you're worried for a second, Tobias, because he's walking towards Astrid with the same fury he had when he was walking away from the ritual, except he throws his arms wide open and almost bear hugs you, Astrid, and says, the daughter of King Asbjorn, it is good to see you. I remember when you were this little, still as fierce as you are now, trying to vie for your father's chair.
And she laughed, and I imagine that she's, just barely on her tiptoes, that he's picked her up and almost lifted her up. And she just pats his face with both hands, and she says, oh, it is so good to see you, and you don't look a day older than the last time I saw you when I was such a child.
You don't have to joke to me, girl. I look, worse than I used to. I was a more handsome man in my prime.
Oh, no. You're aging like a fine wine.
Well,
distinguished is the word that you want.
Well, I'll accept all the compliments you have to throw at me. What does the daughter of the king bring me? What do I owe this arrival?
Well, first of all, hail and well met from my father to one of his most noble jarls, one of his most steadfast allies, one of his dearest friends. It is truly an honor that I get to bring greetings from him to you, his beloved friend. And I've never been able to be in your wonderful, wonderful city, and I'm so excited to be here.
He hears all of this and says, kind of lets out this deep chuckle and says, "Oh, enough of the compliments, girl. If you're not too careful, that might get to my head." And in a joking manner says, "You may have to tell your father. He may have some challenge."
Well, I have yet to be married.
So, what have you come to town for?
Well, first of all, of course, for the opportunity to visit you. And my father thought that you might want a first-hand report of our very successful raid, and he also wished me to extend an offer to be helpful if we can in any way. I have some small skills, and I have brave warriors with me. I know that sometimes there are things that visitors can do that those close to you can't.
You say that, and Alrekr looks further at your group, and with recognition goes to Guinevere and Tobias and kind of pats both of you on your shoulders and says, "Yes, I recognize these two. Fine warriors you've both grown into." And he looks at Opir and kind of jokingly, but still half meaning it in a serious way. "You, I don't know who in the Nine Realms you are."
I'm Opir Ulfkilson, son of Tofi Ulfkilson, apprentice of Orn.
"Well, it is good to meet you, boy." And he kind of does the, the predator handshake with you if you accept.
Yes, I do.
The arm handshake.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, Astrid, if you would like to give me a persuasion check.
Okay. I will do so.
That's about right.
And then you have guidance as well.
Right. D4, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Was this a previous guidance, or are you guidancing now?
He did right as I came in.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Nice. Broke 20.
All right. So he kind of takes his seat back in his throne and kind of gives the, hand gesture for you all to relax. You're friends. He's a friend. Relax. No need to be so serious. He's not the king. Why so serious? Okay. So, Alrekr, kind of in more of a sour mood, but not as sour as before, says, "I take it you've heard of my diviner issues, then."
Indeed, sir. But I didn't wish to bring it up unless you did.
"Yes, I've been hoping to see the Fehu rune extracted for myself in this city. As you all should know from your learnings, that rune heralds good fortune and prosperity and wealth. And I've summoned a skillful diviner upon the recommendation of the Icy Crows, but, well, you see, he appears to be late on schedule. He was supposed to be here 3 days ago."
Well, hopefully nothing ill has befallen him. But might I ask, I'm not quite sure what you need that portent for. When I look around here at your steading, it is glorious. Your people are healthy. Your buildings are solid and well ornamented. Your hall is vast. Is there something that we don't see here?
Fimbulwinter will bring harsh times on us all, child. I just wish to bring more good fortunes to Uppsala.
Ah, well, that befits you as a good ruler, sir.
Yes, this diviner was supposed to perform today's divination. With the weather getting worse, clearly your father sent you and your band here for a reason. If you can find this diviner for me, 25 gold pieces each will find its way into your pockets.
Oh, well, sir, I'm sure that my companions would be very grateful, but I come as my father's daughter. There's no need to pay me for services. I do it out of love for you.
As respect for your father, I will still be giving you that gold if you find my diviner.
Very well. You've offered. I accept.
I just ask that if each of you are willing to brave the wilderness, it is of the utmost importance that you leave as soon as possible before the weather gets worse.
I think that we can do that. Would you be so kind as to perhaps tell us where this diviner was coming here from so that we set out in the right direction?
As I take you to the world map, he tells you that he was coming from Skultborg up here in the woods. And he will give you further information that he will confirm that this diviner is a rather peculiar man, in touch with nature, attuned to the earth, but still nonetheless quite the genius in his field. And his name is Thorgest Ulfr Jarta, which, as you remember, Guinevere, means wolf heart.
Got it.
Well, I hope he does in fact have a wolf's heart for this weather. And I'm going to turn to my companions and say, so, is this an area that either of you are familiar with? Opir and I, of course, aren't.
Guinevere may not be as familiar, but these are my ancestral lands. The Wolves of the Shadow have reign over the Svitsyad. I can lead you.
Wonderful. This is one of the many reasons I brought you. And then she turns back to the Jarl and says, if you would be so kind as to let us have a meal before we set out.
Of course, all the mead and food that you need. You are welcome in my great hall. And you hear him kind of begin talking to a nearby assistant, and people begin setting up the tables.
Great. We can fuel up before we head out.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys didn't already have it, he would also provide each of you with cold weather clothing.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Well, is there anything that the rest of you need to accomplish before we set out?
I think we should acquire a tent. If you don't already have one.
Good call. I didn't think to bring one.
Nor did I. Do they have a tent that I can buy?
Considering you have the daughter of the king with you, the Jarl would provide you with a tent.
Okay.
But it's, it's one of those, hide-covered tents, because we're Vikings.
The normal two-person tent kind of thing?
Yeah, like a teepee, but
Like-
Viking.
Cool.
We're doing Viking things. It's fine.
Well, there you go. I will add a two-person tent to my inventory.
Yeah, we should maybe have two.
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
The Jarl would provide.
Well, let's eat and let's head out before it gets too dark and we're having to do this in the dark. Because I do not enjoy hiking in the dark. In the cold.
I don't enjoy hiking, but point taken. So Astrid, before they take off, goes back to the Jarl and sort of, gives him both her hands and says, wish us good fortune, sir. we will return with your diviner, and I will sing you songs of our deeds and our past deeds, and all the songs I know about you.
He lets out a hearty chuckle and wishes you his best as you all begin to head out. And
Very well.
as you get your meals, finish your meals, and head out, I would like everyone to give me a survival check, please.
Oh,
Oh, I am not survivalist. I am not a survivalist, guys.
Okay, I'm trying to think of how to roleplay this. So many Norse gods.
If I beat
Prayer.
you all at survival, it's going to be the funniest thing that has ever happened.
Right? Prayer, guide my eyes and guide my feet. And please guide my roll. Thank God. Okay, I just barely beat
By
Astrid.
one.
Barely.
It took
Good,
Freya
yes.
to get you to beat her.
Good.
Opir, Astrid, and Tobias, as you all walk out, you feel that the weather seems to be changing. The winds begin getting harsher, and you are definitely in for a journey. Possibly.
I just look at my hands and I go, oh no! I forgot my fur mittens to go over my gloves. Gimme! And I just take Gwen's.
Oh, okay. Okay, here, Miss Diplomat.
Thank you! Look, you have to admit that went well.
I won't argue that it went well. I'm just not particularly comfortable here, that's all.
Well, you know what? I don't think we're going to have to be here very long. I think we're going to find this person. No problem. We can come back, drink for a little bit, and then leave, like within a day. You're not going to have to socialize very much, I promise.
Your Highness, have you ever stepped into the Svitjod?
Well, no.
There's about 200 miles between Uppsala and Skultbjorg.
Well, surely we're not going to have to go all the way there.
And it may not be in a straight line.
Well, no. What did he say that this... Did he say that his diviner was 3 days overdue?
Indeed, he did.
It's not the
Well,
it's not the easiest journey, Astrid.
oh, I'm sure we'll be fine. I've seen all of you in action.
Oh, I know Tobias and I will be fine. We've done this before.
Can I ask the Jarl to give us a pair of hiking boots in her size?
I think specialty boots are included in cold weather clothing.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
they
it's just RP.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, because I totally would not have any
No.
with me. I was in my sort of, finery to impress.
Right.
Well, you are given.
But right now I feel great. This is wonderful. Let's go. This is exciting.
Okay.
As we kind of start to take off, Guinevere kind of steps back with Tobias and she kind of rubs her forehead a little bit and then looks up at him and says, "She's not going to make it a mile before she collapses. You and I know how rough that terrain is."
That's why we brought Ope here.
True. I'm not carrying her.
So,
I don't think anyone was expecting you to, Gwen.
as you all set off, you begin walking along the path that leaves Uppsala in the direction of Skultborg, hoping to meet the diviner and his escort before the weather gets worse. Icy winds blow against you, slowing your pace, and sleet relentlessly slashes your face as the storm begins picking up. You walk for about 2 hours, no living soul in sight as the day gets darker, when suddenly, through the darkness, you make out something strange appearing on the path some 100 feet ahead. As before we move to a battle map, I have to put your tokens down and not give any of you dark vision.
Spooky.
I assume someone will light a torch.
If it's getting dark enough that we can't see,
Ever.
but I feel like the winds are tempered enough that I could maintain a torch, I would light one for now, but then when I have to pull out an axe and a shield, I will figure out what to do at that point.
Well, luckily,
Unless I could say that I have a torch holder, like, built into the front of my shield, so that I could just stick it in there.
that would certainly be something.
Can I do
That you
that?
could build later.
Or I could just, take an axe and cut a hole in it and slide it down there so it pinches between my arm and the back of my shield. Prompt 2.
Or hand it to me.
That's true, I could do that too.
So,
That'll probably be what I do.
I'm not going to be charging into melee.
That's fair.
hold on.
But yes, I will have a torch lit for now, and I will take one of them out of my inventory. I probably should have brought more, but luckily I start with 10, so now I have 9.
Ooh, that's not what I wanted. Hold on.
I like cantrip. I love you.
Are Astrid or Tobias lighting anything? Or are you just...
Yeah, I was... Oh, no, I was intending to light something. I was just wondering if light can be applied to more than one object, like shape water or something. Or
No, it can only be on one thing at a time. Yeah, as soon as you apply it to something else, it falls off the other thing.
Nope, okay, that's fine. I will grab a torch, and I will light it with Druid Craft.
Okay. One moment. Alright. As I move you all, and you'll be able to set your health bars as you are moved to this map. Place yourselves
Darkness.
wherever you wish.
Well, that's creepy.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
As the snow begins getting heavy and heavier. As you approach and get closer, what seems to be... Well, if you get closer and use your light, you approach what seems to be five, but there are only 3 butchered bodies on the floor.
Stay close, Lady Astrid. There seems to be trouble around.
Well, that wasn't completely unexpected.
Are they wearing anything or have anything of use on their persons?
You can give me an investigation. 18.
Ooh,
You
that's
see
really good.
2 of the corpses, a man and a woman in their 40s, are wearing civilian clothing and appear to be unarmed, while the other 3 bodies, on the contrary, wear studded leather and are wielding weapons.
What kind of weapons are they wielding by chance?
You see short swords, mostly.
Do any of them have a dagger on them by chance?
No. You see mostly
Okay.
swords.
Alright, that's fine. I am going... Are there any tracks leading away from these bodies?
Roll me a survival.
Ooh.
You see human footprints leaving the scene in a hurry, heading this way, followed by where the trails they are leaving a bloody trail in the snow leading this way, and as they go into the nearby forest, you see the tracks of what seem to be wolves.
Be alert. There are wolves, and they probably dragged off or chased down one of these other people. Be ready.
Okay.
Lovely.
I will ask my companions if they can identify a clan of these bodies.
Oh, okay.
Does my 18 give me any clan knowledge of these bodies?
They do seem to be of the Icy Crow variety.
Oh, horrific.
Hmm.
They're from the crows.
Do we think there's any chance this might be the escort?
I don't know, but if we don't hurry up, whoever they were with is gonna also be dead. So.
All right, let's go.
All right, I'm just gonna start going.
Okay.
Out of character, for Gwyneth, do you use both of your hands to cast spells? Or do you have like a focus?
I have a focus. It's my book.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Are you able to cast while you're holding a book and a torch, or?
I'm using the light cantrip.
Yeah, I'm going somewhere with the questioning.
Oh.
Because if
You do need a
if you-
free hand to cast spells.
right, unless she has like Warcaster or something, right?
I think that just lets you cast spells with a shield. Right?
Yeah, that's what Warcaster is for.
I think it allows weapons too, but anyways, you don't have that feat, so I guess you need your hand free. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Let us go. I'm gonna kind of advance with Astrid and Guinevere here. Make sure they're not too far behind.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna move you all forward to copy and paste you. As we immediately move to a new map. You eventually follow the footprints and bloody tracks to what seem to be the entrance of a cave. And this is about 15 minutes following the trails. And you can see that the human footprints continue to leave a trail of gore up to the cave entrance.
Just gonna keep going. Just get
It would
closer.
seem they're still alive, maybe. Yeah, let's keep going.
I'm gonna have my shield in one hand and currently my torch in my other hand.
That's exactly how I have mine.
As you are walking to the entrance, Opir, please roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh no.
And I was going to do one thing, but
What did you want to do?
I was going to grasp Opir's bicep and look up at him and say, "Lead the way with courage," and give him bardic.
Okay, I'll allow that to happen as you guys are walking up before the saving throw. So
What's that?
Thank
D6?
you. Yeah.
14.
Okay. Well, as you are walking forward, you kind of stop for a second and feel this wave of what you could only assume is fear. You've never felt that before, but you immediately shrug it off because you've never felt fear before. What is fear? And you begin walking forward, and I would like Astrid, Gwyneth, and Tobias to roll me some perception checks. Actually, no, just straight wisdom. Just straight wisdoms.
Straight wisdom.
Wisdom. My plus 0, go. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, you know.
Well, with a 10 and a 13, believe it or not, Tobias and Astrid, you see what seem to be colors, bright blue colors popping up in the snow underneath where Opir's walking. as you recognize the signs of a Futhark circle carved outside the cave. And as Opir continues to walk through the rune circle, I would like a strength saving throw. You feel a sudden force trying to push you away, and you manage to overpower it. And before the other three can get a chance to even react, give me one more final wisdom saving throw.
I'm here.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Okay. As you begin walking forward, you feel almost a wall just dead stop you. And as you kind of hit the wall trying to walk forward, it suddenly dawns on you. You can't hear anything, nor can you see anything.
Oh
You are
no.
completely deafened and blinded.
Oh no. Am I still where I am on here, or am I further in the circle?
You have reached further in the circle, but for purposes of, the map, you are still where you are.
Okay. Well, this is new. I'm going to start yelling to try and looking around, like, kind of anxiously and furiously trying to see my cohort and hear them, and I just start like yelling and waving my torch in the air and just yelling all of their names very loudly because I can't hear how loud I'm being. So it's very loud. Opir can yell very, very loud. It's definitely attracting attention.
Yeah. This is a
lungs on that man.
right? Gwyneth, are you able to discern the effects of this Futhark circle?
I can try. Would that be a investigation? Would that be Arcana?
You can give me, yeah, sure, we'll call it an Arcana.
Okay.
Can I assist?
Oh, that actually works for me too. I'm proficient.
You may assist if you wish.
I would like to.
So if you're given
I will-
the action, Gwyneth will get advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will pull out my book and I will start flipping through it, and it's all done in just beautiful calligraphy writing, but a lot of the things is just written people don't really quite understand, but if you're proficient in Arcana, you probably would. And I will find something and I will start to read it, and I'm like trying to compare the runes to my notes and all that stuff, and I will roll Arcana for a natural 20 for 27.
Holy shit. Okay, I'm not gonna bother.
You look at the almost invisible semicircle of runes guarding this entrance, and to you, it's as clear as day. They seem to be devoted to keeping everyone outside and punish those who dare enter. The runes carved symbolize fear, power, and deprivation.
Mm.
I recite that out so that everybody knows. Can I discern with the natural 20 if we were to pull him off of the runes, would everything return?
It would be a safe bet.
Tobias, grab him and take him off the runes quickly.
All right.
I don't know who's grabbing me,
no,
so
that's fair.
I think Opir would try to resist and just swing the torch
Alright,
at whatever's
so
grabbing me, just out of reaction.
So I wasn't just gonna grab you. I was gonna like walk up to you and like pat you on the leg, and then like when you stop swatting, I'll pat you again until you're like, okay, wait, maybe this isn't something trying to eat me.
I don't know because I can't see and I can't hear, so I got no sense.
We'll say it's an athletics acrobatics versus athletics acrobatics.
Okay.
All right. Just swinging around a torch and a shield,
Pretty
blindly
much.
and deftly.
You are able to pull Opir. You feel a force pulling you, and as you're being pulled, you are pulled through another one of the rune layers.
Oh no.
So give me a strength saving throw. An 11. Okay. You are pulled out of the rune circle However, due to failing the rune, both you and Tobias are pushed 10 feet backwards with a sudden force, each of you taking 4 bludgeoning, or 4 force damage.
We all tumble like the Three Stooges. Just dun, dun, dun.
However, now that you are free of the rune layer, you do slowly have your hearing and eyesight come back to you.
Up here. Up here.
What? Where'd you go? What? Oh.
Are you with us?
Yes, don't go over there.
Noted.
Astrid starts walking over there.
Boop.
Is the rune, like, carved on the ground?
It is, yes. And
The circle, I mean.
yes, it is. And I would like everyone, as Astrid walks forward, everyone to give me a perception check.
Oh,
I'm not
here
gonna
we go.
walk onto it,
Mm-hmm.
just so that I can look at it.
Yeah, that's not what he's asking for a perception check for.
I know.
About to be
I know.
smashed. It's alright, I can't roll out of the teens, guys. So we're cool.
There's the
It's okay,
perception I should be doing.
So,
I have made one character that has bad perception, and it is this one.
so Tobias, Opir, and Gwyneth, you guys can't really hear anything. The sounds of the storm and the snow falling are too strong to really hear. However, Astrid, you kind of stop for a second as you're walking closer. And through the snow, the heavy snowfall, you hear the faint sound of movement nearby. And as you kind of walk closer to the cave, there is a height to the cave. And you hear the faint sound of howling. And as you walk closer, barely seen through the light, which I know none of you can see anyways, but barely seen through your allies' light, atop the cave entrance are 2 wolves and what appears to be a much larger, greasy black fur covered, blood encrusted on the muzzle, larger than life wolf of sorts. And as it stares each of you down, we will continue this battle next session.
Nice.
Oh.
And with that, I say goodbye, everyone. And as always, stay sweet. And don't forget to tune in to the next episode of Journey to Ragnarok. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye, interwebs.
Bye,
All
YouTube.
hail Titan.
Goodbye, interwebs.